this is Dani from Cradle of Filth, and you're listening and watching Linear Rock.
Hi, Dani.
Hello.
Welcome to Milan and welcome to Linear Rock.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Milan, actually, because you've been here quite a few times.
A few times over the years, yeah.
And, yes, and also in our studios, so welcome back. You're here presenting the new album coming out on September 22nd, 2017 on Nuclear Blast. It's called Cryptoriana, The Seductiveness of Decay. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's close enough.
All right. And you stated it's deeply infused with Victorian Gothic horror, supernatural, the fatal attraction to death, and self-annihilation. A topic which is, unfortunately, let's say, very much current. Was the world we're living in nowadays a sort of spark to its inspiration, or it's more coming from your inside world?
Well, I think it's more my inside world. Maybe modern day drove me back to reading a lot of Victorian Gothic horror and ghost stories. But it was about September, October last year that I started to write the lyrics. We'd gone to Brno in the Czech Republic to collate all our ideas. The whole band basically went to the town where Marthas and Ashok live, drummer and a guitarist respectively. And so subsequently we came away from that with the majority of the album written. And so I had sort of autumn into autumnal period in which to come up with some lyrics. And at that point I was reading a lot of this Victorian ghost stuff like Conan Doyle and Arthur Machen and E.F. Benson, Robert Louis Stevenson. And I didn't mean to base it on that. Normally I don't really, unless I'm, fixing an album on something, like hinging it on something like Gilles de Rais or whatever, I'd be reading something that was nothing to do with it. Okay. But I just thought, well, this is cool. This is exactly the platform or the stage on which I want to build the album. And it's not conceptual as such. It's just each song. It's all based in the Victorian era.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so no connection at all with, the atmosphere we are living.
We've always been living in this atmosphere, though. If it wasn't the 70s and the PLO, it was ETA or the IRA. It's not going to stop.
Okay. Dusk and her embrace was the perfect bond between black metal and symphonic metal. Can we define Cryptoriana the perfect bond between dark heavy metal and symphonic metal?
I don't know, you tell me.
That's what we think, actually, so.
Well, it's got a lot of great musicianship on it, and I'm allowed to say that. It's fantastic musicianship because I'm a vocalist, I just hang around with them.
Okay.
So I've got a good opinion on that subject matter. But yeah, I'd like to think that this record we've explored a lot of new territory. We've worked with a choir again, lead soprano, concentrating a lot on that.
Yeah.
A lot of new wave of British heavy metal, but it wasn't intentional. It's just the way things come out. A lot of really eloquent and fast, intricate guitar work. A lot of emphasis on melody and atmosphere.
Okay. So.
Hopefully that statement rings true.
Okay. After Midian release, which goes way back 17 years now, the die-hard fans of Cradle of Filth accused the band of, having become a more commercial band.
Oh, God forbid.
Did you ever think about what they mean? Or did you ever care about it?
Well, I had to pay for my 2 yachts.
Okay.
I've got one in the Mediterranean. I've got one parked just on the North Sea, and they're expensive. So we had to do a commercial record.
But what I was asking is, it was any intentional some way to evolve maybe, or Or it just happened?
Well, not really, because 2 albums later, we signed to Sony, and we didn't turn into the Backstreet Boys.
Okay, sure.
We did a very convoluted, big album that was probably too long it was literally falling off a CD. It was that long. And, you know, it was extreme. It wasn't anything like what Sony were expecting.
Okay.
We just used their money to, you know, to get this full orchestra and, you know, spend a lot of time in the studio developing this album that we wanted to bring out. So subsequently, had we sold out, that wouldn't have been an issue.
Okay.
We would have done a rap record or something, do you know?
Sure. Previous album, Hammer of the Witches, is considered the best album you've done since Midian. Did this cause any pressure on the making of Cryptoriana, or having finally, you know, a stable lineup actually helped the final result?
Yeah, I think the fact that as a band we're particularly close, although we don't live close. You know, I mean, Canada, Czech Republic, Scotland, and the 2 people who live in England live,
okay,
north and south. But when we get together as a band, we're very close. We do a lot of sight. If we're out on tour, we do a lot of sightseeing together. You know, we have a good bond. And as I mentioned, going to Brno at the, you know, to collate this album, to come up, pull our ideas together, really helped. It was, you know, it was more like one of those exercises in workplace bonding, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that definitely helps, because, you know, having a stable lineup, everybody in the bands, you know, loves music and they've all got their own opinions about it. Yeah, I definitely think it enabled us to build on what we achieved with Hammer of the Witches. And incidentally, 2 of the tracks, Achingly Beautiful and the title track, originally were destined for Hammer of the Witches, but we had a lot of material, and we decided that these 2 songs and another one weren't quite, you know, they weren't quite finished. So we decided to hold them back, and we didn't even know we were going to use them on this album. Okay. But we developed them. Martin developed one of the songs a bit further, and Daniel, the bass player, developed the title track a bit further. And when we got to Brno, we went, you know what, these are really good. We can do something with this. This has changed the perspective of how we were looking at them before. So there is a link, you know. And it's not a case of just where we run out of ideas, because there were songs for this album that may appear further down the line that we didn't use as well.
And how do you work on the songs normally? Do you have a kind of routine working process, or do you experiment every time, you know, new methods? For instance, this time, was anything new?
Well, going to the Brno thing was new, but generally people submit 2 or 3 songs each. Okay. And obviously then they get worked on by everybody, and that seems to work pretty well. With me, I may suggest ideas beforehand, but I always wait to get a flavour of what before starting anything. It's pointless coming up with lyrics and saying, "Here you go, fit a song around that." Where it just you know, I could say I've got an idea, I want a song to sound like this, you know, and hum a tune or something like that. But no, it's a lot easier to just lock myself away in my lonely garret and write.
The cover and also the photography and videos for the new album are admirably handled by Artūrs Bērziņš, hope I pronounce it correct. With his unique postmodern classic taste, he has been defined as sacred monster of Latvian postmodernism. How the connection with him happened, and did you give him any inputs and work together to the whole concept, or just, you know, he followed his own inspiration? Well,
obviously I gave him the lyricism.
Did he listen to the album before, or it was?
No, he didn't. No. Well, actually, no, that's not true. He heard a couple of demos, but he had the lyrics, and I explained the themes, but then just basically left him to it, because working with him on Hammer of the Witches, you know, I literally could trust him implicitly. then I discovered that he was also a video director. So, and we thought, well, it'd be interesting. We'd go to Latvia.
Sure.
It'd be a bit cheaper. Didn't realise how brilliant it was and how many people were working on it. And we just watched myself and two ladies from the record company I showed them the video today.
Okay.
And they were like, wow, it's spellbound. It's just literally so lavish and big. And yeah, I mean, while we were there, he also did a big photography session where he used some of the imagery from the video and incorporated in some of the artwork as well. So basically the guy's a genius. And it looks fantastic. The video looks fantastic as well. And very proud of what he's achieved, because it's just, it's just another thing that we like as a band. We like the thing to look good.
You did a cover of Iron Maiden classic Hallowed Be Thy Name as a bonus track of Cruelty and Beast, which goes back in 1998. I heard you recorded a version of Alison Hell by Annihilator. This time, is it confirmed? And did you choose it more for the music or for the lyrics?
A bit of both, really. Loved that song for years, and we've talked about doing it for years. Then on the last tour of Europe for Hammer of the Witches, we bumped into Jeff Waters, the guy behind Annihilator, and also on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise to Jamaica. We saw him there and told him that we wanted to cover it, and he said, yeah man, that'd be great. Cradle of Filth doing Annihilator, awesome. So we got the thumbs up, and after that, we thought, well, we're going to have to do it. And it's great. It fits very well with the rest of the record because it's very atmospheric. It's got lots of different parts to it. Very cinematic as a track. It now makes me want to do lots of other cover versions. Like I want to do Possessed.
Possessed by Venom? Or
no.
Possessed the band?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any?
Confessions.
Okay.
I think the first track on Eyes of Horror. There's loads of stuff bubbling away that has inspired us to do.
Scott Atkins produced Cryptoriana and has been your producer before. Is it true that you stayed beside him all the time, also during the mixing, bringing tea or some suggestions? And is it more like a control mania or a team attitude to be there all the time?
It's a total team attitude.
Okay.
We were good friends. I mean, he's done the last 2 Devilment records and including this 3 Cradle albums, and he knows how we work. He's a very hard worker.
Okay.
And it's good just being there for input. And to make tea, obviously. that's of paramount importance.
Which kind of tea was more inspiring?
More inspiring for him. I'm more of a coffee drinker.
Okay.
Builder's tea. All right. Proper strong English tea, made in a very special way. But no, working with Scott. I mean, we'll work on another album with Scott. I mean, people say, "Oh, it's going to sound." It's not going to sound the same. It's got different songs on it for a start.
Yeah.
Utilize different processes. Different equipment. It's all about the end result. And what I like about Scott is that, he's brutally honest, and he works his knuckles to the bone. I mean, he worked over and above beyond to make sure the album's perfect.
Okay.
For example, if you're going to put choirs and lead soprano and orchestration and guitar solos and layered voices on, it's all pointless unless you can hear. If you're going to put something on, you can't hear it, then what's the point of it being there? So sometimes less is more, and the relationship we have is he will tell us if he thinks something's... So
the more you have on the record, the more important is the producer responsibility.
Yeah, or to say sometimes, let's take this out, let's take that out, it needs to breathe. So
right. Cradle of Filth representation identify with you mainly, both for the image and also leadership level. You're also the only original member remaining in the band. are you really bossy as it may seem, or do you think that, again, working as a team is more productive, but you always have to have the last word?
Not all the time, but it's important to have someone that guides the process.
Okay.
And it's by default only that I'm the last person. You know, it could have been someone else that was, you know, started the band, could have been the last guy standing in the band. But I mean, Martin now has been in the band almost 11 years, I think now. So that's quite, you know, that's quite a long time. But I think we get on. Yeah, I know we get on well, and they're quite happy for me to get on and do my thing, and we discuss stuff, and it's not as brutal as people would think, because it just wouldn't work that way.
Yeah.
People don't realise that Martin also does the orchestration as well. Not only does he do the drums, but he also does the orchestration for the record, and he was responsible for this album of supervising the choir and the choir, which he did in his hometown as well, Brno. Okay. So he has a lot of input as well. And in fact, some people might say that he's bossier than I am.
Okay. Your image has always had, you know, a very strong impact. How much macabre is now a routine, or let's say a job for Cradle of Filth, or that will never happen for you?
It's just part and parcel of what I'm about and what the band's about. You know, it's always going to be attached to macabre influences. I can't see us writing an album about going on holiday or, you know, future science fiction. Although, you know, H.G. Wells is The War of the Worlds is a massive influence on me, and that was obviously written in the Victorian era. So, you know, maybe we do something akin to that at one point, but yeah, it's always going to have that flavour. I mean, it goes hand in hand with heavy metal anyway.
Yeah.
And I just grew up in that environment. I'm a massive horror film fan and monster movie fan. Yeah. So, yeah, it goes without saying, really.
I just spoke with Alice Cooper 2 days ago. He was presenting his new album Paranormal in Milan, and we were talking, you know, about how different.
Is this the one with ex-members?
Yes, with the original Alice Cooper band. Yes, that one. And we were talking about, you know, how different and some way paradoxically difficult it is nowadays to shock the people, because, you know, just tuning to CNN, you realize how reality overcome fantasy most of the times. What's your feeling about that concerning also the message and the show that you deliver with Cradle of Filth?
Well, I think people are pretty unshockable nowadays. I was watching The Walking Dead the other day and realised that some of the scenes in there are probably, well, a lot worse than the scenes that led films in the early 80s to become banned and X-rated. People were arrested in the early 80s for owning films that got scenes in it that when you watch nowadays go, it's not half as brutal as some of the stuff that you get before Watershed. So X back then now is probably a tame 15 certificate. But is it really about shocking people? I mean, if you want to, it never really was about purposely going out the way. Sometimes, you know, you did a Jesus shirt and whatever, but that actually was more anarchic, and it caused us hysterics at the time, rather than, as you imagine, you know, like go, oh yes, it's going to be really grim and frostbitten. We were just in hysterics about the whole, you know, it was just very rude, and us Brits, you know, we laugh about it. So I don't think we've intentionally, if we've shocked people, it's because it's just part of our character. Yeah. It's just a byproduct. Okay. It's not a vehicle. It's not a sole intention, because otherwise we wouldn't have, I mean, our artwork, okay, we have classical nudes in a lot of our artwork, but you go to an art gallery, you go to the Vatican, you know, you probably see more boobs there than you would. Well, you would definitely see more boobs there. Definitely more tits.
Than at a, you know, Steel Panther concert.
Yeah.
More there, okay. since we talked about Alice Cooper, was he ever, he's the king, the pioneer of shock rock. Was he ever an inspiration for you?
Oh, definitely. But I didn't get into Alice Cooper until he, when we had his comeback in the 80s.
Okay.
Constrictor.
Yeah.
Raise Your Fists and Yell. Trash.
Then, yes.
And then obviously I revisited a lot of his earlier work. I think he can't even remember some of his earlier works because he said he was too drunk.
Except from the classics.
Yeah.
Of course.
But he was, definitely.
And is it true that the Italian band Death SS has been a major inspiration for you? Or not?
No.
Not very much.
Not really, no.
Okay.
I think Goblin more than anything.
Okay. So.
The band Goblin.
Sure. So.
Not Goblins. I'd say Goblin more than anything. And when I was young, I got a tape by a band called Necrodeath, and it was, back then it was really heavy, and it just stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah. And back then, without the internet, it was more like you said, a tape trading.
Without the internet, nobody had a mobile phone.
Yeah, so it was tough, to discover.
Bands. We were talking about saying life back then was, for kids was a lot cooler because you actually went out and did kiddie things, like riding your bike, climbing trees, making catapults, like swallows and Amazons and stuff. And nowadays, people just seem to be glued to their phones and staying in on the internet. It's not healthy, is it?
Yeah, it's not. Next tour is going to start at home in UK and Ireland during Halloween period.
Yeah.
Will you come up with something very special for those very special dates?
Hopefully. I haven't had the chance to think about it yet. But the world tour proper begins mid-January in Europe, and we're doing the most extensive European tour we've done for a long while. I think it's about 8 weeks. Okay. I've got the dates, but I can't until I'm given the go ahead. I can't reveal them, but we are coming to Italy.
Okay.
and as soon as we've done all that, then we go to the States. Then we go to it's a proper world tour.
Okay.
So next year going to be very, very busy.
Good for you. Do you create your own stage costumes? How difficult is always, to come up with something new every tour?
Yeah, pretty difficult. My wife actually helps make a lot of them.
Okay, so
she's very good at creating ideas and just coming up with stuff that you go, God, would never have thought of that.
What we see in the new promo photos is going to be the outfits that you're going to use on stage.
I don't know what promo photos you've seen. I think we're wearing several things in new photos.
Okay, so it's not done yet.
I think in the next album we should actually shock everybody and just don't wear anything.
Okay, naked.
But that would be shocking and both very frightening.
And do you cook yourself your stage blood as Gene Simmons of Kiss does? Do you have a special recipe, or you simply buy, the fake stage blood?
No, we extract it from the necks of virgins.
Okay, that's good. I imagine that you're going to say that. All right. And which is the wildest thing that ever happened on the road and the goofiest moment that you had on stage up to now?
Oh, you did put me on the spot now. There's been lots of, weird and wonderful things, and I wouldn't be able to talk about it anyway.
Okay.
Silly things, lots of silly things.
That happens to everybody. So
I was just saying that I don't know if you remember Claudia.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Well, I was on a radio show a while back, probably about 8 years ago, and there was no one in the building apart from her, and I think somebody came in to set it up, and then went away, and then there was just her and a janitor, cleaning, and we were about to go live on air, and I really needed the toilet, so I went to the toilet. And I got into the toilet and went like that, and the handle came off in my hand.
Oh my God.
And so about 20 minutes later, she's sitting there going, where the hell is he? We're live on air. So long story short, eventually I was going, help, stuck in the toilet, I can't get out. The janitor came, we had to take the whole door off.
Oh my God.
To get me out of the toilet.
Okay. Hi, Claudia, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so in recent years, a lot of famous bands have organized tours or special events to play their main album in its entirety. For example, Moonspell did it with Wolfart and Irreligious, Megadeth with Rust in Peace, Dream Theater with Images and Words, and Blind Guardian recently with Imaginations from the Other Side. After 12 albums,
no,
including this one.
No.
Okay. Are you thinking about such a tour? Okay, so there's album that actually represents Cradle of Filth.
Well, there is, but, it's like going to see Iron Maiden on A Matter of Life and Death. You're just halfway through, you're just going, just please get to the encore.
But that was different because it was the new album. So
well, that's very true.
Because, the people was not into the songs too much already. But we're talking about, masterpieces. So it's very different.
Next year we are actually re-releasing Cruelty and the Beast for its 20th anniversary and doing a full remix of it.
Okay.
With Hallowed Be Thy Name as well. Because people want to hear a remix, and we've submitted one already to the record company, and they think it's great. It's going to be a lot of hard work. So we want it to sound big and polished and modern, but we don't want to take away from the atmosphere. We don't want to take away from the reverb, and so it's going to be a lot of hard work. But we've already done Cruelty Brought the Orchids, and it sounds amazing. And so I'm looking forward to that, and I think people will really dig that. I think it's really cool, and I think we're going to redo the artwork. I think we're going to get someone to do the artwork, but in the same pictures, but just reimagined.
So maybe there will be also a tour on that.
We'll still be touring this record, but
okay.
maybe we'll be playing a little bit more from that album at the festivals next year.
Okay.
I think we're safe to assume that will be so.
Have you ever had any very serious problem, with censorship during your career? Any event that maybe made you touch the idea to call it quit because, they couldn't get, the real spirit behind Cradle of Filth?
Not really. I think we've been very lucky as a band also for example, not last year, the year before, we did a tour in Russia. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, our friends in Cannibal Corpse were touring. And we were doing about the same amount of shows each. I think we did something like 16 shows. And I think they did about 12. And we had one show cancelled because the promoter got a bit scared that it might be cancelled. So he cancelled it anyway. So instead we actually we went to somewhere else and did a Q&A and got all the fans in to talk to us. But Cannibal Corpse had a lot of their shows, 50% of their shows cancelled because of this group called God's Will. People were down with this sort of thing. It's awful. So, and the same with the Deep South in America. You think you'd get lots of people turning up saying, "Oh, this is awful," and in fact, never. There was one guy in Atlanta who stood there with a megaphone and a big sign that said "Jesus loves you," but no, we don't really get hit by that. The Jesus shirt recently did get a little bit more trouble in where was it? New Zealand.
Okay.
They were showing it as part of an exhibition, and it was in an 18 area, so kids can just wander in and see it. You actually, you went into a special part, and they had all these sort of T-shirts and what have you, and some woman went in there and sprayed all over it, and that got a bit of coverage out of it. But no, generally no.
Did you ever miss at any point the original band which you created, the original concept of Cradle of Filth with?
Yeah, of course, I miss them all the time. In fact, I see some of them. Lecter, our old keyboardist, he was recently the tour manager on the Devilment, my other band's tour. Okay. So that's cool. I see Nicholas Barker occasionally. I've seen Guyan. Yeah, not regularly, but irregularly bump into ex-members. Okay,
so no bad blood at all.
There might be a bit of bad blood between a few people, but it's not just between me and him. It's between me and everybody else and him. Okay. So yeah, but nothing major at all. Right. No.
On July 1st, 2001, the movie Cradle of Fear came out, which with you acting, as the main character. Today, July 5th, 2017, marks 16 years from that movie. How do you actually review that experience? And have you ever thought, of repeating it because of your passion, as you already mentioned, for horror movies and decadent issues?
Well, I did a bit part in a film called Baphomet, which is coming out next year.
Okay.
I just play a doctor of the occult. And also I've done some voiceovers for some cartoons as well, but yeah, it would have been nice to have done something else like that. And it was good fun because everybody was very involved in it. It was crowdfunded by us, really. Yeah. And it was all done piece by piece, and yeah, it was fun. It wasn't supposed to be Martin Scorsese, it just did what it said on the tin. It was supposed to be this underground, very
that
gory,
vintage.
Yeah, very very gory, Amicus style, kind of dark comedy humor horror fest. And Emily Booth, who starred in it as well, the girl in the nightclub. She now presents the Horror Channel.
Okay, so
yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was a very cool part of the Cradle history because we were doing it around the time of Midian, and it was that was a fresh start for the band because much like Hammer of the Witches, it was a renewal of members, I guess.
But is there any particular actor that inspired you for that role and for the next one that you just mentioned? Is there any maybe historical horror movie that would fit like a glove your acting abilities, in your opinion?
Any really, really bad ones, I should think?
No, come on.
No, I mean, if I was talking about... It's got nothing to do with that or anything else, but to do with what you just mentioned. But as role models, definitely Christopher Lee.
Okay.
Christopher Lee was just a giant, a literal giant. He was about 7 foot tall. He was just such a great actor. And in so many great films, from The Wicker Man, all the Hammer horror that he did, Scaramanga, James Bond.
Yeah.
And he himself was very, very passionate about Victorian Gothic horror and getting everything right. He was, he also did, and he even got into heavy metal, albeit by accident. But he was definitely a distinct influence on me.
Which is for you the best aspect of being part of a band such like Cradle of Filth? Also, we just mentioned that you're also an actor, but you can be but you can be yourself, in both situations, and you're still Dani Filth, So is that maybe the best aspect, of having such a strong image and strong character?
Well, it can go both ways. I go out where I am, and I've got friends, and we've got a football team, and I go down the pub and stuff. And even though they're into metal, I try, Cradle of Filth. Apart from maybe just if somebody's talking about something, I'll give an analogy or say, oh, I remember something similar happened. But I try not to bring Cradle of Filth into it at all,
Okay.
and just get on, because I don't know. It's nice to have some sort of personal life, and that's why I don't live in London. That's why I live where I live, because it's nice to breathe. Because 85% of my time I'm known as Dani Filth, and I'd rather just be known as Danny Davey, which is my proper name.
And Dani Filth changed through the years more as a vampire and or as an artist.
It's a question of that. Well, hopefully as an artist.
Okay.
Hopefully not as a vampire.
Are the two things connected in some way? Your image, your actually all that goes with it, with your musical creativity. It's part of my life. I mean, if you came and saw my office in my house, you'd go, "Oh, I see what you mean." My wife hates it. Well, she doesn't hate it because our house is full of stuff like that, but it's just. She hates it because it's just really hard to pick your way through all the monster toys and statues and photographs and crap. So Hammer of the Witches was a great album, and Cryptoriana is great as well. Do
Brilliant.
you think that Cradle of Filth is living like a new creative peak in this moment?
Hopefully both creative and physically as a band, not only because, you know, we're as I said, we're quite close and get on very well with each other. I'm hoping to go and visit, I'm hoping to go and visit Richard soon, because he lives close to Bloodstock, and we're going to go to that together. And I'm hoping to go and stay with Dan, the bass player, and go walking up in the Scottish Highlands, because he does all that soon as well. But we've also just had a new manager come on board, and we're slowly getting used to the way that he wants the band to work. He wants to get... He was an understudy of Ron Smallwood, so, you know, I mean, he you know, good company there, Ron Smallwood and Iron Maiden, and he's got this big plan, and he, you know, he wants things done a certain way, and he's very, you know, hands-on, and so that's something else that I think is really going to help the band, and I hope so, because everything feels really good for the band at the moment, and even after 25 years of doing it, I absolutely love it. You know, I love everything about it, every little detail. Even coming and doing this sort of stuff.
Okay, which is always annoying.
Well, it's not annoying. It's just that people have said to me, you know, when you go on a press trip and you have to answer the same question, I said, well, it's not quite like that. When you get onto a press trip, you just go with it.
Yeah.
And you don't take a big sheet of things and go, and read it out. You know, sure. People do come up with some pretty interesting stuff, and you just learn to run with it, and then that's it. You're off.
Okay, so we hope it was interesting for you today as it was for us.
That was all right.
Thank you so much for your time, Dani,
yeah,
and can't wait to see Cradle of Filth back to Italy.
Yeah, which will actually
next year.
It will be. It's going to be in February.
Okay, so
I actually have the dates, but I can't, as I said, reveal them.
But it will be February, so we have one more detail. So thank you very much, and see you next time.
Yeah, cheerio.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.